Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dai and this is episode 3 of my series where we analyze Pinterest prediction trends for 2026 more in detail and then we translate them into a crochet piece or an upcycling project. This is Brooches. What I want to say is I'm sorry it took too long. This video took longer than the schedule that I have planned. A lot of things happen. It's very funny, but when things are going well, when I'm gaining more subscribers or I'm gaining more followers in Instagram, I get really overwhelmed and I kind of shut down. And for me, it's difficult to sit here again and record. I don't know what this happened. Maybe this is normal and maybe this also happened to other people who are doing this as well. It just blocked me for a very long time. I still trying to find a system that works for me because I still have a 9-to-5 job. So I'm sorry this video took longer. The next one will come even faster because I was working on both videos together and I have it ready. As we start all the videos, I think the first thing that is very important to do is trying to understand what Pinterest saw in this trend and how it is translating in today's life. So Pinterest writes about this trend: there is a new way to wear your heart on your sleeve, or tie, or socks. In 2026, boomer and millennial men will punctuate their fits with vintage pins, crystal clip-ons, and heirloom brooches. It's part homage, part reinvention. If your grandma wouldn't wear it, isn't even a vibe? The searches that define this trend were brooch for men's suit, maximalist accessories, heirloom jewelry, lapel shirts, and brooch aesthetic. I think this is one of the trends that definitely have materialized extremely fast. We have seen a lot of examples on the red carpet in these last Oscar seasons and premiere seasons. We have seen men wearing specific brooches, like details. Then we have saw really maximalist examples of it. This is one of the trends that I think it was corrected, translated into what was happening in reality. And so in trying to analyze this trend, first of all, I look for the history of how a brooch came to life, how it happened, what had happened since. Then I dig in a little bit about what magazines and fashion outlets were saying about this trend. Then I try to understand what is behind this trend more deeply, like in society, what actually people are looking or craving when they are trying to embark on this trend and why they do it. And finally, of course, some visual inspiration for you to get on this trend. So if we look a little bit into history, we know that brooches actually existed before bottoms. So they were used actually to fasten garments and clothes in very ancient times. They have more of a functional objective more than a fashion statement like is right now. The first one were seen in the Bronze Age. So between 3300 BC and 1200 BC. Usually they were made in bronze or copper, and there were these pin that was fastened into these circular rings. Also in this age, it was about identity. The brooches they wear represent the house they belong to, the family, and or if they were from the military, they were from the church, and so on. So it was part functional, but also it was kind of an identity badge, if you want to kind of put it more into perspective. Then the migration period started, so they became more fashionable. during the Byzantine era, 313 AD and 1400 AD, they started gaining gemstones and pearls, and this is when they became more fashionable, but it was also about status. Then, of course, during World War One, people stopped using them, but of course, because these were very difficult times and all resources were focused on surviving and on making things for the war, so people stopped using it all in all. And then 2 decades after that, fashion designers decide to bring them back to life. So as you see, they started as a functionality item, then they became kind of an status badge, then it became a fashion accessory, and I think now it's part of personality and creating a unique identity for your own. So they have survived all these changes in the way they were used. So now let's look on what the media outlets are saying about it and fashion in general. I came across a website called Alex, which is actually they are a jewelry store designer in London. They do sell brooches, but they publish an article about it, and I really like a couple of quotes that they put. The article is called "Why Brooches Are Making a Comeback in 2026 and How to Wear Them." Although they sell new items, as I said, one of the things they point out is that people are gravitating towards pieces that feel meaningful, collected, and timeless rather than disposable. So the first thing is that it's kind of a pushback against fast fashion and what it represents. And it really, I think the meaningful way in this trend is for you to look for unique pieces in vintage or secondhand shops. But moreover, and this is also what is said in the next article that I'm going to bring to you, the idea is that kind of bring back that idea of the identity badge. So there are a lot of people who have inherited from their grandparents or your parents. So the idea is also to kind of wear something that is close to your heart. So maybe a brooch that your grandmother wear or your mother wear in the past. So kind of bringing back that familiar item to your day-to-day wear. There is a second article from Vogue Arabia. They say, why is fashion obsessed with this old age accessory again? So they're kind of making this point about wearing something from your family. And there is a special part of the article that says, own by default rather than by desire. In the past, almost everyone seems to have owned one, yet no one really knew what to do with it. So in my case, specifically, I have all of these. But these three here, they actually came from my grandmother's house. So what happened is that it was I think 5 years ago. This wasn't even a trend. I was going over some old jewelry she has. I always like to check if there's something that I liked, and I came across these ones. I really like them. I didn't know how to wear them or what I will do with them, but I thought they were really nice, and I thought that maybe I could wear him somehow and in some way. I think I haven't worn him before it came a trend, because as you know, sometimes you feel weird or you feel kind of out of place. And I think everyone now, we are trying to push against that sensation of feeling out of place because we are wearing something that we like. The second quote that I want to bring from this article is what tie these placements together is intention. Each one feels personal. Its ability to be worn anywhere, on anything, guided entirely by your instincts rather than the trend cycles. If you get on this brooched trend, of course, it's an extremely maximalist trend. So the idea is to wear a lot of brooches together. Maybe you're not comfortable with that, but I think if you could wear some pieces here and there, pieces that are meaningful to you, or some brooch that you really like, you don't have to come across with a whole combination of them. I put them all together for this video, but to be honest, this is one I bought literally a week ago on a vintage shop. I was in Valencia for the weekend. I will let you know where I bought it. It's a vintage shop right in the middle of Valencia city center. And I really liked it. I really like the color and everything. And I just bought it. And literally, I was wearing this blazer. And I just put it as soon as I leave the shop. So I wear it alone. I was with a white shirt. So it was really matching with my outfit. And I loved it. So this is the thing, you can adapt the trend to what you like. And then moving forward, you don't need to continue wearing in this extremely maximalist way if it's not for you. But if you have a sentimental or a piece from your grandma or your parents or your aunt or whoever, or even if you find a really interesting piece on a vintage shop, you can wear it on your own. You don't need to do the whole setup. If it wasn't enough with wearing everything on your clothes, the trend also travel into people's houses. So AD Magazine also did an article which is called Interior Design is Here. Why brooches are the to-go decor accessory for 2026. So this trend has not only taken fashion by storm, but also people are bringing it into their houses, which is also a very nice way to use them and to display sentimental items that you have. If wearing it on your clothes is not for you, here's a second option. They say that what's interesting is that the same embellishment mindset is starting to carry into interiors, with people styling brooches on lamps and decor as a playful way to bring personality and a maximalist touch into their spaces. There are a lot of examples, and I'm going to link all these articles below. If you get into the AD article, you will see that people are placing brooches in really original and different ways. My interpretation of all of this and why this trend is happening and why people are very drawn to it, I think it's because there's a huge desire to be different, to be authentic and not to look alike. The problem is that in this desire to be different, not to look alike, everyone went and go for the trend. So at the end of the day, it's the same problem. It's very funny because you try to make it personal and you try to do it with intention, and then again you end up looking like everyone else. So this is the point. The point is, make the trend yours in your terms and wear it in a comfortable way, and wear it if this really resonates with you. If not, you're going to end up being a copy of someone else. The second point about this trend is that, again, I think this is a rupture from the quiet luxury, not only in clothes, in fashion, but also, as we saw, in home decor. But at the end of the day, I think your house and your clothes need to represent who you are, what your values are, and tell a story. Then the third point is that we discussed this, we are talking about sentimental dressing. So bringing pieces that have a story to tell. We also talked about this in the previous video. Objects have a story to tell. So it's really nice when someone come and will ask you, I like your brooch, where is it from? You can tell it's from my grandma, it's from my mother, or if you find it in a vintage store, you also have a story to tell. Brings a very strong personal narrative, which people are really craving to have. People really want to be their own unique human being and be able to tell a story with your clothes and the pieces that you choose for your fashion and for your house is how you create your personal story. I think brooches are also a gender fluid styling tool. So it's something that again is kind of blurry, the lines between what is for women and what is for men, or what we were told. And if I want to go a step further, I can say that brooched for men is like glamorati for women. Glamorati is the first trend we analyze in the channel, and we talk about women wearing things that weren't supposed to be for them. And I think men wearing these brooches and like bringing this more feminine touch to their clothes is a very strong statement to what we wear. One of the pictures that I found is from the actor named Jeff Goldblum. He's wearing a brooch that it's kind of a flower. I don't think you can get more fluid than this, because this is a very feminine piece, let's say, and he's wearing it with a lot of style. And to be honest, it looks amazing on him. To wrap it up, and now to bring you final recommendations, I think again this trend is about identity, is about personal narrative and an intention. It's being present, it's telling a story, and it's telling a unique story about who you are. Again, it's about being authentic and not being a copy paste from everyone else on social media. If I would recommend you somewhere to look for inspiration in how to wear it, I just saw a series on Netflix called The Law According to Lydia Pöet. It's based on a real story about the first accepted lawyer in Italy. She wears extremely nice brooches. They're amazing. Usually she wears it on her neck, like a neck piece. And I think, well, the fashion in general in this series is amazing. So if you want to get inspired, definitely you can go and check that series out. But then I want to give you 3 movies which are more related to the main topic, which it was identity, personal narrative, and intention. The first one I think is Lady Bird from 2017. She was directed by Greta Gerwig. It's about a teenager, and I think we all been there, going into college, these last years of high school going to college. And you can see her really fighting to define her identity. And I think it's something we all went through. I saw it. I remember my teenage years. For me, the end of high school and the beginning of college was really important. And so I think this movie kind of will make you remember those years and how you start creating your personal narrative and your story. Then I will bring Nomadland from 2020, which is a woman in her 60s who really changed the way she lives and the way she interacts with the world. It's a very honest story. It's about a woman living an identity outside of the conventional social structures. and the importance of living with intention. So you can see her struggle in the way she lived at the beginning, then trying to transition through to her previous life, and then kind of going back because she was not longer that person. And I think that happens to us when we are in transition phases, when we have a personality, or we have an identity, or we have a job, or we have something that our identity is very entangled to. We try to move away from that. So we get into this transition phase, and this transition phase is really difficult because from time to time you will step into this new reality and this new identity, and then something will bring you back to the old self, and then you have to push really hard mentally and physically to actually be this new person that you want to be. You have to have a really strong intention and focus in this new person you want to become, and this is a very good example. And if you're going through this in your life, go watch the movie. And finally, I want to bring you Past Life. Past Life, it's from 2023. It's directed by Celine Song. It's about the lives not lived, but that they make part of our personal narrative and our actual identity. It's kind of tricky, but hear me out. I'm gonna give you my example. So I left my country 10 years ago to go live in another country and make a different job than the one I was doing. I lived in Brazil 7 years of my life. And then finally I came here to Madrid 2 years ago. Brazil was really defining for me. My whole personality, my whole narrative changed. And I am extremely grateful because I really like the person that I am now. And I think it's very authentic to the person that I always wanted to be. I'm not there yet because there are things that I still am working on. But I'm closer to her because of my time in Brazil. But what happened is that when I left Argentina, my family and my friends from my previous life, they have this idea of me, of who I was, of how I responded to certain situations, to certain incentives or whatever. And now I am this new person. So what happens to me every time I go back home to visit, people, they don't get disappointed, but you see that they are not comfortable in the way that I respond now. Not because they are against it, but because they don't understand. They haven't seen my transition. So they still think I'm that person. And every time I go back to Argentina, I have to leave knowing that people are expecting me to respond in that way, but I'm not longer that person. I am this one. And I try to explain to my family and to show people that I have changed. And it's difficult because you cannot put it into words. You're living it inside. I see the people's faces. I see that they try to, again, because of habit, they try to bring that person again, and that person doesn't exist anymore. Nevertheless, the pull is so strong that sometimes if I stay too long, some things from my past life start getting into my new identity. And it's really difficult to fight them back because they were my identity most of my life. So I think this movie is kind of that. If you are like me and you have left your hometown and you really change outside or away from the people, from your family or from your friends, then you will definitely understand what I'm saying. Okay, guys, this is it. This is the end of the video for today. I want to end the video first by thanking you to being here and for watching the video until the end. If you like this content and if you like my videos, please like and subscribe because it would really help me grow this community and this space. And I want to tell you which project we are making. We are making a crochet brooch. I'm not going to show it to you. You will have to wait for the video to come out. And then we are also doing an upcycling project. So we are doing 2 tutorials so you know how to make it. We will do the crochet brooch. We will do an upcycling brooch. Well, and we will have fun making them and making it very personal to you, so you can enjoy. Maybe you can give it as a present or whatever. So thank you for being here. I hope to see you in the tutorial, and I hope to see you for next trend, which is very spring inspired. So that's all. Thank you for being here, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.